What's up, Rogues? Are you ready for another S tier build coming out into Season 6 and the expansion? This is the new Death Trap Twisting Blades Rogue. Very similar to if you played in Season 0, the build that a lot of people were playing where you get to spam your ultimate with Twisting Blades before they nerfed it. Well, it's basically back in action here. So the whole idea of this build is to rely on mostly Death Trap for your damage. Now, there are going to be two variants that I will be dropping, and the first version is the one that I'm going to recommend. This is the hybrid version where we do get some damage with Twisting Blades. Eventually, you can kind of play whatever you want, but the reason why I'm recommending you guys to start off with this version of the build is because it's going to be a lot easier for the barrier to entry, as it is an endgame focused build because it does require a lot of cooldown reduction as well as a lot of resources. In order for the build to function properly, you do need to have a lot of these breakpoints, because the way the build works is you're going to be spamming your ultimate again and again. And in Season 6 and in the expansion, you could actually put multiple points into your ultimate, which helps out with damage as well as cooldown reduction, and they did give a lot of different buffs to specifically Death Trap, like Eyes in the Dark. These pants have been getting buffed again and again, and it's finally a little bit better. So you can see it's in my third bar where you can see it's back up. Like, it just keeps on constantly just going back up, and that's how you're able to spam it infinitely. It's a combination of having a lot of resources and getting cooldown reduction and using the Beastfall boots. So for starters, let's go over the way that the build plays and how the skills are used. So Twisting Blade just gives us a bonus damage multiplier, plus it also helps out with cooldown reduction. And technically, if you want to run the daze variant, you can daze the enemy, so your bonuses with trick attacks can actually proc. And then you can also utilize smoke grenades, so that's going to daze them, and you're going to get even more damage there. And then you also activate technically with this, it's a subterfuge skill. And then with Death Trap, this is our main source of our damage. I would say 85% of the damage really comes from Death Trap. If you do want to run a pair of gloves, you can probably squeeze a little bit more damage with Twisting Blades, as this is going to be a hybrid build, but eventually Death Trap will be like 99% of your damage here, and that's what you want to try to shoot for. But again, I'm recommending starting out with this one, and then you can do a real easy conversion to the other variant, which I will be dropping later. It's just because that one requires like absolutely like perfect pieces of gear in order for it to run, and a lot of people still want to play the build, and you can get it up and running with the hybrid variant really easy. And then we're running Dark Shroud. So there's two different options. You can run the Runeword. You can also throw it in your amulet if you do want to try to fit this in with the umbral aspect. But or this umbrous aspect, you can use that in the defensive category, or you can use it in like the Runeword. Now, if you want to, you can also just push the button, because it's going to reset every single time you go for your combo. It just requires another button push, but it's really not that big of a deal because of its animation being so fast anyways. And then you just have two extra like mobility skills here. And then we have Preparation. This is going to make it so we spend 75 energy, and we're going to reduce our ultimate's cooldown by 5 seconds for every 75. So we want to get a lot of resource here. And then the ultimate skills reset all of the cooldowns and give you 15% damage reduction. So this is going to be up 100% of the time, and the more resources we have, the more cooldown we get. That's why I said that it's going to be a lot easier if you play the Twisting Blade variant, and I'll explain that in a moment here. But that's our skills. As far as the gear and the aspects for the helm, we're going to be running the Harlequin. Harlequin is going to give us cooldown reduction, and the maximum resource can help out as well. And then running Tyrios to solve all of our resistance problems, but the Shroud of False Death is a really good item if you can reach the threshold for that one. And then we're also running Fist of Fate. It's really good for the lucky hit chance, as well as just the bonuses that you get with it. I mean, attack speed, crit is pretty much good in every single build, but if you want to run a regular pair of gloves until you get a good Fist of Fate, that's fine. You can just run +2 Twisting Blades, as it does facilitate some damage. And then Eyes in the Dark, these are some pants that give us a really good amount of bonus damage to ultimate, which will scale with all of our attacks. It just increases our damage, which is great. And then it makes it so the Death Trap deals a bunch of damage and then will actually arm itself again. And then with Beastfall boots, this is a very important piece of gear here. So without this, the build does not function. So it gives you maximum resources, which is good. It gives you ultimate cooldown. And then on top of that, when you cast an ultimate skill, our next core skill is going to consume all of our energy, which is going to be Twisting Blades. And then it's going to increase the damage per energy consumed using a cooldown restores 25 energy. So pretty much we're just spamming all of our abilities again and again. Basically, that's why our resource goes all the way down, and then it goes right back up, and it goes down. It's basically this. This is what's giving us a big amount amount of damage. And I figured, let's go ahead and just use Twisting Blades to facilitate because we get all of the bonuses. Now, don't worry too much about getting a perfect roll on Beastfall Boots, but if you happen to get one, hey, that's awesome. And then also conceded is our other aspect. Since we are going to be spending lots of energy, Second Wind is excellent in this build, and it's up 100% of the time. So that's when you spend 100 resources, and since we spend like hundreds, it's just up the whole time. It's really good for that. And we just get to get the bigger multiplier here. It's when we have the barrier active. And then we get all the offensive rolls. We can just get like damage per Dark Shroud, because this is like the most consistent one that you can keep up in this build, because you're going to be crowd controlling all the enemies. So very rarely do you really take very big damage. It's only on the bosses that would deal bigger damage here. But ideally, you want that chance for Death Trap to deal double damage to be the masterwork thing. And you do want to try to get a high roll so you can get about 100%. You can reach actually over 100% just in the two-hander. And then for our amulet, we're putting Galvanized Slashers. Now, eventually you can drop this aspect, but it really helps out earlier on because we're using it for the second bonus. Your maximum energy is increased. So this on the amulet gives us another bonus. So the more energy that we have, the more that we spend with Beastfall Boots, the more cooldown reduction we have. This is why I'm really recommending this variant of it. But getting Dexterity is a really good stat. You can also get like Malice, Exploit, Frigid Finesse, you know, all those things, but realistically, those are very rare to hit. Those have like a very rare weighted drop. But if you get Greater Affix Dexterity, that one is really good to go ahead and get. And then Ring of Starless Skies is pretty much one of the good rings, but you can get whatever on it. You can get core skills, attack speed, crit strike. As far as masterworking, it's not that big of a deal. And then as far as our other ring, we're going to be running Inner Calm, and then we also want some sort of thing for a chance to make enemies vulnerable in somewhere. It doesn't matter. You can get it in an amulet as well, but you just do want to have this because it's great. And most of the time, we're dealing damage when we're holding still, and then you want to get trap cooldown reduction on one of the rings. And then for the other aspects over here, we're running Blade Dancers. That's going to make Twisting Blades orbit around, and it does facilitate some damage. Again, it's like 15%. It doesn't do an insane amount. You can maybe bump it up to like 20 if you get the gloves that give you ranks to Twisting Blades. But for the most part, you also can get the Temper chance for Twisting Blades to hit twice if you want to. There's not really another one that's really important here, but that one does work. If you get those on both of your weapons, you can run daggers or swords. It really doesn't matter too much, but running the same thing on each one of these. And then we run elements as well, because technically we do physical and we also do shadow damage. So it's kind of like we have it up 100% of the time because there's two things that actually deal damage. For the runes, you can see we are running Lith Vex over here, so the plus ranks to skills works on ultimates now, which gives us extra cooldown and it does more damage, and we also use Twisting Blades here. You can also run Yom Rune, that is another option. I also made a note, you can run Mott if you want to as well. That will give you the Dark Shroud, so you don't have to push the button if you're lazy. That's an option. But Ohm is pretty much one of these stronger ones in the game, so definitely don't skip it on this one for like every single build. It's just too good. And then for the gems, we can run this. Now, if you already reach your ultimate damage, you can throw in something else. You can throw in Vulnerable, you can throw in Crit. Doesn't really matter too much. Then we want Dexterity, and then we just cap out on our armor, because this pretty much gives us resistances, but if you need it, hey, resistances can be okay as well. As far as the skill tree, let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it if you're watching this on mobile. So for starters, the first 2 points don't matter. We max out Twisting Blades. We also get Sturdy here. If you want to put points into this or Target Practice, that's totally fine as well. We don't actually need Siphoning Strikes. It is an okay thing to get if you want to for bounce back, but because we have that barrier up most of the time, and there's another thing which gives you free regen, which is great. I still like putting 3 points into Shadow Step, basically 1-1-1, and it just lets you be not really crowd controlled, and I really like it for the speed at which you can clear things. But if you want to drop these, that's totally fine too, because you have Harlequin, so you'll still have the skill. It's just that it won't have like the bonuses where you get the extra crit strike chance or whatnot. And then just like every single build, you got to max out trick attacks, and weapon master. These are kind of like bread and butter here. But the unstable elixirs here, this one's optional. If you do pop a potion, get some extra damage there. Maxing out Dark Shroud, you can get extra crit, you can get Agile if you want to, and then also getting Smoke Grenade is great just because we get the extra damage with it, and then once we hit Elite, it basically has no cooldown, but this part really doesn't matter that much. If you want to drop this point, that's totally fine. You do definitely want this one though, and the reason why is because when you activate your ultimate, it resets your cooldowns anyways, but it just makes it so if you happen to miss or whatever, it's just faster. If your ultimate, for whatever reason, you need it or if you want to activate more dazes. It doesn't really matter though. You can just save a point right there if you want to. Exploit Malice just like in every single build. And then of course Frigid Finesse, that's why we run Fist of Fate. It's because that will be our source of activating the crowd control, unless of course we just stagger the boss, then it's affected by everything. And then we also run Trap Mastery, so when Death Trap activates, we get increased critical strike chance against those vulnerable and crowd controlled, maxing out Death Trap, and then we get this one where it pulls in all of them, and on top of that, they get to hit enemies that resist the pull are hit for 120x of the Death Trap's damage, which is great. It used to have like a cooldown on when it would eliminate enemies, but they have buffed it. And then over here we're running Aftermath, so as long as we have the ultimate on our action bar, we just get free regen. I like this. It's a really great thing to have. And then I think we get plus ranks to Aftermath as well. So this actually, if you get a greater affix, I think you can get it up to like 4.5%, like just HP every second, which is great because you get to heal, and then you also restore a bunch of resource here, which is great because when you use your ultimate, you're going to have no resource once you activate the core skill with Beast Ball Boots. And then over here, obviously, the build does ultimate damage. And then you can run Second Wind. I really recommend running this. It is one of the most powerful things in the game. And then we are running Momentum, so that's why we also run Twisting Blades in here. It's really great for this because we don't use a Marksman skill, and that will give us a mass amount of damage, and it actually gives us maximum energy, which synergizes really well with this build. There are a few different variants. I've seen people play Pen Shot for the knockdown. You can also play whatever core skill that you want. However, I would not recommend running Rapid Fire or running Flurry. The reason why is those have a very long animation. Like Flurry is like 4 times as long as just Twisting Blades as far as the animation goes. But you can actually play a lot of different ones, but I like Momentum. It just gives you so much stats. Like this thing in general is just way too strong not to run because you get damage reduction, maximum energy regen, movement speed. It's just great. It's just one of the best things I think in the entire game. It's probably the best key passive. All right, as far as the Paragon board goes, let's go ahead and get started. So first off with Headhunter, you'll notice that we're taking like all of the int nodes, and like basically we take almost every single node here. And the reason why is you have a lot of free slots. Now with the amount of bonus Paragon points that they give us in the expansion, you can basically run a lot of builds at like 220. After that, it doesn't really matter too much. Most of these are just like small things where it's just giving us like 5% damage. And then also skip out on all of the strength and the intelligence earlier on. Later you will fill it out. I just figured we'll go ahead and fill out everything here, but there's a lot of things that you don't need. Like you don't really need these resistance nodes if you're running Tyraels, but eventually once you get the resistances up, you can run Shroud of False Death and make it much better. But the first board over here, we are playing Headhunter, is one of the best things in the entire game, and it gives us a bunch of the normal runs. That's why we play all of those to reach all the bonuses. So it doesn't really matter the Paragon board order now at this point because everyone's gonna be playing that. And then over here, we are going to be running the brand new Dance Macabre. So when we use a Subterfuge skill, which is going to be our Smoke Nade, that is going to then proc for our Death Trap to get that 50x bonus. So we basically have that up most of the time, every single Death Trap, but it won't be activated during Twisting Blades unless you want to go Twisting Blades, Smoke Grenade, Death Trap, Smoke Grenade, then go into Twisting Blades. And then you basically would have to rotate Smoke Grenade in between every single like attack, which would be your Twisting Blades and Death Trap, which you can do, but for the most part it just activate it in 1, 2, 3 in like the order that I have, and you'll still be good to go. We get all these bonuses for damage. We don't do damage to distance enemies here, but we do want this damage reduction over here just because, again, with the extra Paragon points. In the earlier stages though, don't bother going for these, or like you really don't need a lot of these in the earlier stages. It's just trying to fill it out over here. We get Turf, and then we can go up over here, and then we go into the next one, which is Cheap Shot and Exploit, and we get all the resistance again, and then we get extra damage over here, and then we go into Exploit Weakness with Combat here, and we're going to be grabbing all the little bonuses over here, and we run Combat over here since we're going to be wanting to run Crit, because if it crits, it's going to restore percent of the energy cost, which is really good. And then we go into No Witness. It's so crazy how now it's so easy to do these like Paragon parts of the video because there's only 5 Paragon boards in total. And then we run Devious over here. So when we hit an attack that it can apply a crowd control effect, since we have Fist of Fate, that's why we run it. It's so good, and it gives us bonus of all the magic, which is going to be all this ultimate damage over here, which is great because it's going to facilitate for our No Witness node over here. We can get up to X45. Once you get this to X45, you don't need diamonds anymore, but it depends on certain things and what you roll, because you can technically get ultimate damage in your pieces of gear in the temper slot as well. It's kind of up to you on what you want to go for, and kind of what RNG it gives you. Now, as far as it goes, I will be dropping a separate video that goes over just the pure version of it, but this one, guys, is way easier to run because the other one requires a lot of greater affixes and like more perfect masterworking on cooldown reduction, getting this to have extra bonus maximum resource. But once you do get those, we can make the build even stronger. But I wanted to try to make this build accessible for everyone, because if you guys have played like the Lightning Spear Sword, some of the stuff that's required is like the GA with triple masterworking on the Harlequin, and then you need like the GA on the Talrashas. It's just like, it's such a very, very like min-maxer build that I do want to make a separate video for that one, as that one is a little bit better, but you could still play the build and have a great time without requiring everything to be triple masterwork and great graphics, because the other build, yeah, we'll drop that one too. I'll just have to record it once, of course, the season comes out, as this is the one that I had on the PTR. But check the notes if you want to. There's a couple other things that you can run. Like you definitely want to try to run that potion of resourcefulness if you can, because that will really help out with your resource, and that will make the build a little bit stronger. And another thing that I wanted to mention is we could probably come up with another variant of it. I didn't get to test this out. The PTR is obviously done right now. But if you are able to run the Banished Lord's Talisman and the Amulet here, you could squeeze out even more damage with Twisting Blades, and the build could become even stronger, because once you're at 275, you could have every single hit being overpower on Twisting Blades, which would be absolutely crazy. So you have 100% overpower on every single Twisting Blades, because you're spending the 275 every single time you activate it. And then Death Trap still does a bunch of damage. And then you can maybe like double the damage in this build. It'll be really cool to see it once it does come out. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up. If there's any suggestions, let me know down below. And if anything does change, because at the moment we're still waiting for the update to come out, but I don't really see this build getting like Omega nerfed. It's not like the Thorns Bard. But have some fun with it, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. If there's any ways to make it even stronger, definitely let me know, and I'll update the guide for you guys later. But thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like, sub if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And if you need any of the notes, just go ahead and check the pin. The planner will be linked.